Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Selectmen's meeting, April 25th, 2017, held at 272 Main Street in Townsend. Calling the meeting to order at this time, and could I have a roll call vote, please?
Sue Alessio, present. Cindy King, present.
Gordon Clark, present. Could you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to announce 1.3 at this time. The meeting's being tape recorded, and if anyone out there is recording, just let us know, please. Thank you. Chairman's additions or deletions. We're going to, on a revised agenda, add 2.1, appointment of Rick Bailey as interim police chief upon completion of successful contract negotiations. And we'll be going into executive session under General Laws, Chapter 38, 21A, Section 2, to discuss strategy or conduct negotiations with non-union personnel with respects to interim police chief Bailey. We're going to remove 4.1 and put that on to another time. And if it's all right with the board here, I'm going to go to 3.1 out of consideration for Mr. Crowley. Mr. Crowley had emergency surgery yesterday. He was just discharged from the hospital a couple hours ago, so he's only here so that we can have our town meeting, and he's going to leave as soon as he does this. So thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Got a couple of drafts if people want to share them by row and look along. So what you have before you, members of the board, is the annual town meeting warrant. Still draft form until it's been voted and approved by you. Go through each of the articles just to make certain everybody understands where we are. The very first is appointing all officers unless other provisions are made by Mass General Law. Usual and customary article. Article 2, to hear any reports of any committees, boards, or commissions. Again, usual and customary. Article 3, to see if the town will choose 3 committee members, West Townsend residents, to serve as the James H. Tucker Fund in accordance with the bequest. Article 4, again, usually and customary, this is the revolving fund article. This will take on a different form in the final motion version because when the law changed this past year, these now need to be voted separately and more in lines with being a bylaw instead of just an action at town meeting. So the motion will reflect that when it comes back from council. Next, you'll see the Article 5, the fiscal 18 general government and school operating budgets. And you'll see the asterisks on the first line after the word funds. Carried on down below, there will be a chart in the handout that night at town meeting that will show those other available funds. That's how we did it last year, and it just makes it a little more transparent to see that we're using, X dollars from the Cemetery Trust Fund, X from, firefighter, EMS, revolving account, and the like. Article 6, see if the town will vote to fix the salaries and compensation of all elected officials, officers of the town. Article 7 is the water department budget. Article 8, 9, 10, and 11. We had a standalone section on the warrant to discuss these articles under 4.1, which has now been removed. So once we finish going through the warrant, I know that we do have some folks here, the superintendent and others from the district, they'd be able to speak to these articles. And I know, Sue, you've been involved on the building committee side. So those 4 were submitted by North Middlesex. Articles 12 and 13, usual and customary stabilization articles. The first is the general stabilization, if there's any interest in transferring available funds into stabilization. The second is the capital stabilization. That's a usual and customary article, but we did just take that matter up at the special town meeting back in March. So we put the $200,000 into that capital stabilization fund already. Next, you get to Article 14, and these are the beginning of the capital plan articles. Article 14 proper is the capital plan that was submitted and voted to be supported by the board a week ago. Article 15 would be what has become customary over the last several years, paying down a portion of debt. We've committed to paying down $100,000 of that kind of hodgepodge bonding authorization that was done several years ago. Article 16 is the second installment of what was approved as a 3-year lease for the completely outfitted and equipped ambulance. Article 17 is the result of the recommendations of both the police and fire chiefs back when the discussion of regionalizing communications with Devens was underway back in October, November. The recommendation was that the full amount of money that was going to be in the budget in fiscal 17 would be replicated and kept on the table for communications uses. So you'll recall when we looked through the communications budget from an operating perspective, it had the $157,000 contract price for our involvement with the show, but it had 60 hours of greeter time funded at the dispatch center. What doesn't show in that operating budget is this $175,000 for capital, because you wouldn't put, as a matter of practice, you wouldn't put capital of this nature and this amount inside an operating budget. Next, you'll see Article 18, which is a request from the superintendent, the water superintendent, to do repairs of the Fitchburg Road water storage tank. Article 19, again, we've tried to do a little bit each year above and beyond our Chapter 90 allocation that we get from the state for roadway repair. So this is that usual and customary over the last several years.
Do we have a number to plug in there?
We don't as of yet, and it'll be a live thing on the floor of town meeting. As we go, we'll have a chart showing what's available in free cash, what's been expended as of the last special, what's contemplated to be spent earlier in the warrant, and as we go down. It may be that when we get to the stabilization article, if we've got, $100 grand sitting, somebody may want to make a motion to put it in stabilization. So if there's no revenue available from which to make an appropriation, when we get there, this would be nothing.
Okay.
Next, you get into Article 20, bylaws and adoptions. This comes in from the water superintendent. This seeks to have the town adopt Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 69B. And the article, as presented, says what it says. I think there's still going to be some discussion, even if this is adopted, as to its applicability against the charter, the home rule charter for Townsend. So my point is, even if this does pass, I don't think that's the end of the discussion.
Has council made a ruling on this?
Council has. Council has made a ruling and provided it back to the water commissioners in response to a writing that council received from somebody that they hired. So directly saying, if this goes to town meeting, it means X, Y, Z. No, not yet. But that'll be where we'll be going.
Okay.
Article 21, see if the town will vote to accept the provisions of Mass General Law 40, Section 8J, creation of a disability commission. And there's a follow-up piece Cindy and I worked on. There's a follow-up piece that isn't required to be accepted. It's just once you've accepted it, that very next section of the law are some of the things, the powers and authorities that it has. 22, we get into zoning. The first comes in from the planning board, and it's regulation regarding accessory apartments. And it carries on from page 6 to the top of page 8, which then brings us to Article 23. Article 23, again from the planning board, a zoning article relative to open space multifamily development bylaw and making amendments thereto. And Mr. Chairman, that's the end of the warrant, a scant 22 articles for the annual. The one piece of outstanding business, if you go back to Article 5, this is the budget that we've been working back and forth with over the last couple of months now. At last Thursday's Finance Committee meeting, the Finance Committee did adopt this budget, and there will be a column that goes to town meeting that has the Finance Committee's recommended. If, however, the Select Board adopts this budget as well, which you've already indicated that you were inclined to, I would then have the Board of Selectmen and FinCom joint recommendation, just to show that there's unity across the top two bodies that would be looking at this. So if it pleases the board, a motion to accept the budget as presented, and then I can make those amendments for the handouts.
I'm glad to make a motion. Do you want the question after I make it?
We could, sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
I make a motion that we accept, that this Board of Selectmen accept the budget as approved by the Finance Committee.
Second.
Okay, discussion, Ms. Lizio?
Just a question on the assessments, especially if town meeting were to okay all of the school requests. How would that change? Do we know yet how that would change what we're expecting to pay?
Well, simple math is the town voted, as you know, to tax itself an amount above 2.5 to fund the school project. What's being requested here, as you discussed at the FinCom meeting, is because the numbers have come in, the bids have come in lower, is to reallocate some of those monies that had already been approved to do other projects within the property for the school district. So if the shift down or the savings is bought back up with this menu of things, there'll be no delta at all. It'll be the same number. So I would, once you get going on that, perhaps Joan will have a better sense in terms of what their priorities are and where they're seeing reimbursements too.
Okay, so in terms of, if I may, in terms of raise and appropriate,
No impact.
there's no impact?
Correct.
Because the budget is the budget?
Correct. And this is talking about spending what's previously been approved as an override, debt exclusion. And now that there's savings, whether it's the three towns' interest to spend some of that.
No, I think we've got more than that on the table, is that correct?
Yes, that would be,
Yeah.
that would be the two projects for the high school.
The maintenance building and the turf field. Right.
Right, that
But then we have-
goes under that heading, the
Right.
heading you just discussed, but my understanding is
There's two others.
There's two others.
you're
that are
coming to
not
ask
charged.
us for more, basically.
There's three other projects that do not fall under the high school project that's already been approved.
So,
They appear on pages 3 and
I just
4.
wonder if it might make sense to talk with the schools before we actually vote on the budget. I just don't know how much it might impact it.
Well, in terms of raise and appropriate, they're
Yeah.
all raise and appropriate with the exception of $25,324 is accounted for, and that's an amount that's been left on the table
Right, from,
to be able to do collective bargaining for two groups.
okay.
So to the extent that there's an ask coming across the table for raise and appropriate, unless you go back in and gut an equal dollar amount from someplace else in the budget, that's not likely to happen this year. So it would be either
Okay.
things that are being absorbed within the existing debt, if it applied,
Or new debt.
or new debt.
Okay, okay.
Cindy, do you have any questions? No. Mr. Pyle, what would you suggest we do with this?
We can vote.
Can I just do one point of order? I'm just trying to, so people out there, everyone knows who the superintendent is. Could you just introduce yourself so people know?
Sorry, I'm Randy Rush, I'm the school committee chair.
Thank you.
I'm a resident of Townsend as well.
Thank you for your service. It's just that I'm trying, so,
Okay.
thank you for your courtesy. Discussion is done. Motion's been made to move. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Let the record reflect that it's unanimous.
Excellent. And Mr. Chair, I'll beg your permission that I leave.
Yes.
And if during the course of the meeting something comes up, I have my phone with me, even as I'm driving back home. Or even if it's, later in the night, you got something that comes up in another part of the meeting, feel free to give me a ring.
Just a quick thing here is, Kelly, we need to sign these and copies and all that.
Yes.
Okay.
And the constable is going to be for 6:30.
How many copies do we need to sign?
You only need to sign one copy,
All
and
right.
I'll make copies.
Is this one I have already, or do you need another one to sign?
That one's fine.
Those are all
It's not
clean
marked
copies.
up.
All right, the last thing I just Mr. Kryler's leaving. He should not even be here today, and I want to thank him. The town's business wouldn't go forward, but he needs to go back to his home. He's fighting a terrible battle for his life now, and he was in for emergency surgery, so I thank him for his dedication to Townsend. Thank you, Mr. Kryler.
And I ask him to please get plenty of rest, and we'll try not to call you.
I hope we don't have to have a motion for that. Thank you. Very well put.
We have a little thing that needs to be corrected here,
Okay,
Kelly.
do we need Jim back before he leaves, or?
No,
Oh.
Carol and I?
No, it's all right. Yeah, can we, take a little...
maybe we could sign it out of session.
Yes, could I have a motion, just, it's all right. No, it's all right.
I got printed
All
out.
right. We're just gonna have a correction, folks, so you know here, is that our staff has been in an emergency situation to make this meeting happen today, so little things like this happen. If we could have a motion to sign that out of session, please.
Or Kelly can just
All right.
make a change.
She's
All right.
gonna be coming to get it
Bring it back
anyway,
and-
so.
All right.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
right, yeah.
Sneak it around.
All right.
I'll go correct it.
Thank you for both for your approach.
And there's a
Yes.
few seats up front, people.
I want to bring up on the warrants
Anybody in the back, you
for
want
the
to?
3 new school projects that we're trying to bring to the town.
Right.
They're not on the warrant as here.
right.
I don't know if
What
that
I
needs to be-
wondered about as well.
Right, you have the 2 for the high school reallocation, which would be the
All right.
maintenance garage and the turf field. You have the Hawthorne Brook project here, but there's also a project at Squanicook and a project at Barnum Brook that needs to be voted on in the town.
So
Do you have Jim's number?
I do. I actually have the warrants. I'm sorry, I have it on my cell phone. It has the numbers. This might be helpful. But Kelly,
So
might
should I
have-
call him back here?
Do we have him come back?
Why don't you do this, just in case? No, it's all
I
right.
didn't want to do that.
No, it's not normal, but you know what, it's an emergency situation today, so we're just trying to make it happen. So we'll work with everybody here, is that all right?
That's good.
You gonna call us?
I'm trying to get his number. I got so many numbers on my phone.
How about, we're going to take a 5-minute recess. Can I have a motion for a 5-minute recess, please?
I move that we recess for 5 minutes to get the rest of the information together.
Yes. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Motion's been made to move all in favor of taking a 5-minute recess?
Aye.
It's unanimous. We'll be back in 5 minutes, folks. Thank you for your patience.
The way that I understand it is,
Do you want to come up and join us up here, Superintendent, or not? Sure. Or not, it's up to you.
No, I'm fine.
I just want to try to work through this here.
Sure, I'll
It's a
work
little bit
through
of
it
a
with you.
curveball. All right.
Do you want to?
You sit anywhere you want. So could you sit, I'm sorry,
the
go ahead.
separate packet that we have,
Right.
that's from North Middlesex,
Right.
is correct. She just checked all the numbers. This is what needs to be in the
So
warrant.
do we need to have Kelly,
But not everything right now is in the warrant. These need to be inserted
Could-
in here.
could you, working with Kelly, our assistant, out there, get those added, we could come back and do it in a little while? Or not?
Sure, I
Well,
can.
Because we
I
have to
think-
have them posted tonight, so at 6:30, the constables come in to post them.
Oh, my goodness. Sure.
You know, I didn't know, I'm trying to get...
No, we'll be fine.
I'd be glad to go and help Kelly understand it.
All right. would-
Okay, I'm going to step out.
Yes, and I'll, so Cindy, do you, and how would you like to handle this?
Yeah, just have, I mean, as long as, if it's legal,
All right.
to add the articles.
Well, I mean, if we're voting on the
Yeah.
warrant, yeah.
No, but I mean, yeah.
You know what I'd like to do? Can we,
No, but-
can we come back to this and go to 2.1 and take care of that or not?
Yeah,
Well, except-
and then have Kelly add those articles, and we'll sign it from there. Okay. I think we're all right.
All right, so we're going to go into recess?
What time does it need to be posted?
Well, as long as it's tonight, the constable's
As
coming,
long
we'll
as
have
it's
to wait.
tonight, but the constable's coming.
As long as it's tonight.
Yeah. Well, I think, what time does town meeting start?
7.
So we have until 7.
All right, so we're gonna go to recess to take care of this? I know.
What else do we need to do?
We have, the only other thing we have is the chief.
My only concern is without Jim here, is Kelly going to,
I know, well, we're trying to get him back, so why don't, do you want to take care of 2.1, in the meantime, we'll hold the gym?
What's on 2.1?
It's about the chief, interim chief. Oh, no.
Oh,
that might take a little bit.
that could take...
I'll take a motion to go into recess while we
Yeah,
try to get a hold of
let's
Mr. Crowder, please.
I'm going to find out.
Well, let's first go into recess, please. All
Okay. I move that we recess for 10 minutes.
right.
Second.
At this point, folks, we will be taking a recess. All in favor? Aye, aye, thank you. Welcome back, people, from our recess. At this time, I would like to thank Superintendent Landers and Mr. Crowder for coming back, and we've worked through the situation so we can have it posted by 7 o'clock. Ms. Lizio, would you make a motion if you would like to
Yeah, would you let me
rescind?
just withdraw my original motion?
Yes, and then we'll make another
Okay.
one if it's okay.
Yes, so I move to accept the warrant as amended and to vote on it for posting.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Oh.
Vote's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good now?
Are we going to discuss the motions, the school ones at all?
If you want, we'll have the superintendent come in. She's out there. Oh, I'm sorry. Superintendent, you want to come up and join us here, please? Thank you. So there's been a few motions added, and the superintendent's going to explain some of those articles and any discussion we have. Thank you. Thank you,
Gonna have the
Superintendent.
chair join me.
Absolutely.
So just very, used to have to push the buttons at our meeting.
We're live all the time.
Thank you. So the first project, there's two projects for the school department related to the high school building project. The high school is going online. We actually have to be out of the old building by Saturday, July 8th. And the administration will be in the new building on Monday. We are moving the week of July 4th. We have about 7 days. I'm calling it Mission Impossible, but we'll get everything squared away so that the general contractor can get into the building. We are on time and we are under budget. There are two articles. The first one, the turf field, is being brought forward. When we originally proposed the high school building project at all the 3 town meetings, we talked about a turf field, and we said that it was not going to be included in the project at this time. If there was bid savings, we would go back to the towns and let them decide at that time whether they wanted to include this in the project. That's why this is being brought forward. We wanted to make sure we kept everyone informed. That's turf is $1.4 million. The design and the consultation and administration of the project would be $200,000, and then there's $200,000 of contingencies built in. So the project is $1.8 million. There's no change or cost to the trench drain or the filter. We had originally had the drainage in the original project in case someday down the road the town decided that they wanted to put in a turf field. We would have a credit of 8 inches of loam, some sod natural turf, and compacted granular fill material. We'd be adding the turf with the logo and some protection boards. And we are going to actually have a site designer come to town meetings in the 3 communities to explain I'm not a turf expert. I'm learning a lot about it, but we wanted to make sure that the residents in all three towns had the opportunity to talk to someone who designs turf fields, and if people had any questions. So they will be at the town meeting on the 2nd. The other article has to do with the maintenance garage. That was not in the original building project. We were hoping, if you drive by the high school, there's the garage on the opposite side of the school, and we keep trucks in there and supplies for the district. And we actually reached out to Neshoba Volk to see if they would partner with us to redo the garage. But the project, the building, there's a lot of rotting, and there's a filtration under the building. And so we'd have to demolish it. And that is $80,000 to demolish it. So we looked at 3 options of how we could rebuild it. And this is, the building committee and the school committee voted to move forward with this option because it was the most efficient and cost effective. And we'll also, the building committee chair will be talking about that during the town meeting. That's $210,000. We looked at the potential annual impact on the towns. In 2014, when we did an estimate at the annual town meeting, it was $159 per 100,000 for the tax impact. The 2014 estimate at the current rates has gone down to $130 per 100,000. The current, with the turf field, if you were to add the turf field, the price would be $121 per 100,000. Without it would be $115 per 100,000. And I apologize, I would have had it in a PowerPoint. I just wanted to give a quick overview.
It's greatly appreciated, thank you.
And this is on our website. We have a lot of material. We have a recent PowerPoint. If you look through the materials and you have any questions, but we'll all be at town meeting to answer any questions. We also, last spring, I submitted on behalf of the District 3 what they call accelerated repair projects for our schools, which is not a core project like the high school. It's not a renovation, but it has to do with windows, doors, roof. So we submitted a proposal for Hawthorne Brook, for the Varnum Brook, and Squanicook. The Squanicook school has been offline for about 1.5 years now. We had severe ice damage, and we had to take it offline. And we have an insurance claim. It's over $700,000. We originally came in a lot lower, and we went back and had them reassess it, and it's a little over $700,000. It would only repair half of the roof, and the whole roof definitely needs to be repaired. We decided to reach out to the MSBA and see if they would come out to Townsend and see if they would partner with us. They agreed to, that they would partner with us, and they would help share the cost of the part of the project that the insurance claim wasn't going to take care of. And we have the Varnum Brook School, which needs a new roof. Last couple of weeks in the rain, the bad weather, there's major leakage in the library. Quite a few of us were over there covering the books so they would not get destroyed. They have HVAC, and I'll be talking about all the 3 projects. But the reason why I'm bringing up the Varnum, the Squanicook, and the Hawthorne Brook together, they're going to go to vote at all our 3 towns. What has happened over the last, since 2009, we have been creating what are called in-district programs for our special needs children, so we're not sending them out to costly outside placements so that they could be in their communities. But we house different programs in different schools. So for instance, I'm going to use Ashby. We don't have a project, but I'll use that as an example. We house our artistic programs for our students there. Students from Pepperell, Townsend, and Ashby attend that program. We have a language-based program at the Varnum Brook School that students from all our communities attend. According to a regional agreement, each town is assessed on the students from each individual town, the enrollment from that town. So each town is being assessed, and I'll go over that. In some cases, very minimally. But we felt it was important to let all 3 towns know that this is how we found, calculated the assessment. It was according to our present regional agreement. Last night, the school committee voted to form a subcommittee. Each town's going to get a letter, and we're going to relook at our regional agreement. It's pretty outdated. It only covers K to 12, and we've had preschool for a number of years.
The last time it had a major revision was in 1972.
When I was in high school. Don't do the math.
So there's a lot there's a lot that's happened in the district and how we educate our children, and how we, just different programs that we have that they couldn't even imagine in 1972. So the agreement is in desperate need of being updated for what we do.
So we went and we submitted the statement of interest to the MSBA, and the night before the board meeting in the fall, I believe, before it went, or the spring, for the feasibility study, they voted all of these 3 projects to go forward, which is unheard of at one time. They're willing to, they've invited us into the program. We've been working with a designer and an OPM to do the feasibility study. It has been completed. The designer will be at the town meeting to explain all 3 programs. The architect and the project manager on all 3 projects are the same to save money. So we don't get to pick them. The MSBA assigns the person. With the high school, we went through a pretty intense interview process. So really quickly, the Hawthorne Brook, it's replacing the windows and the doors and some minor structural repairs. Some of the joints in the outside exterior are expanding, and also HVAC. The project cost is estimated at $4.1 million. I'm rounding off. The MSBA grant, the MSBA would pay $1.4 million of the project as a reimbursement. The project would be, the member towns would pay $2.6 million. It would be assessed to all 3 towns. So Ashby would own 22.83% of the project. Obviously, our students go attend Hawthorne from Ashby. That's about $617,000. Pepperell, $23,000, 0.87% based on the enrollment. And Townsend, $2 million, 76% of the project. The reimbursement rate from the MSBA on all 3 projects is 57.11, but when you look at parts of the project that are repairs that need to be made that aren't reimbursable. For instance, the HVAC. The systems in all those buildings, we're going to have to replace the air handlers. They're very costly. If they're going to be doing the work at the time, it made sense to get an assessment on which the HVAC systems. I don't know if anyone has any, can I ask if anyone has any
Well, we'll
questions?
go
You
for
will do at the end?
Well, no, what we'll do is we'll go to the board and we'll ask a few.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Thank you.
Oh, please, information is
tired.
great. Well, you've done a great job helping us out tonight, thank you.
Squanicook, it's, that is roof, siding, HVAC, and interior repairs. There's a lot of damage that was done to the building. We own Squanicook. The long-term plan for the district is to move from the Peter Fitzpatrick School, to close that down. We had a review, comprehensive review, called a district review with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed, and they said we really need to look at how many buildings we have in the district, because we need to reallocate our funding and our resources. There were representatives from each of the town that attended that review. We really have to consolidate. And we own Squanicook. We do not own Peter Fitzpatrick. In fact, and if anyone from Pepperell watches this, they'll laugh, I arrived on a Friday to the town. On Sunday, a Board of Selectmen met with me, Sunday at about noon, 3 days after I arrived, to ask me, could I move out? They wanted the building back. So it's been an ongoing back and forth joke for 5 years, like they're my landlord and they're trying to evict me. But the reality is, it costs $225,000 a year to keep that building open. And every town is assessed. But really, we have a little guardian angel watching over us, because at the time that we were going forward with this feasibility study, Flat Collaborative, which is housed out of Air Shirley, has invited us to join their collaborative. It's a special ed collaborative where our students can attend if they have intense special needs. They've also reached out to ask if we had any space they could rent. So we brought them out to Peter Fitzpatrick School, and we brought them to Squanicook. And Squanicook is a perfect location for them. I worked with the building inspector, and there's part of the building that we can actually open in September, even while the rest of it's being repaired. And the lease we're working out right now, it's a little over $100,000 a year, and they want a 5-year lease. So there'll be revenue coming in to the district. So it makes sense to keep the building we own as an investment. And Spalding, enrollment fluctuates in Townsend, and we really have to make sure at the elementary level we have enough space for the children in Townsend. So the project is $4.5 million. The MSBA would pay $1.2 million. The insurance proceeds are $713,000, and the member towns, it would be $2.6 million. The town of Pepperell would own 50% of the project, $1.1 million. I'm sorry, we switched it. I'm sorry, $1.3 million. Townsend would owe $1.1 million, and Ashby would own $176,000. So it was assessed on, because of the specialized programs, they're drawing enrollment from all 3 towns. So it would be assessed to all 3 towns. And the last is the Varnum Brook. That's $8.9 million. The MSBA would fund $4.1 million, and this debt service to the member towns would be $4.8. The Townsend share is 2.5%, which is $122,000. So these charts will all be online. I know I'm speaking very, very fast. And then we also have, we looked at the potential annual impact on the towns, the average across 25 years. So for Townsend, for the Hawthorne Brook, the average would be $14.73 per 100,000. For the Squanicook, it would be $8.25 per 100,000. And the Varnum Brook would be 88 cents per 100,000. But we have charts from bond council that I'm going to post online. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers out right now, and I apologize. Again, all these projects will be discussed by our architect at the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much for, Cindy, Sue, do you have any questions?
I will in a minute.
All right. Well, do you have anything?
Not, right, I want to see what Sue has to say.
All right.
I might have something.
And the chair will answer the question.
Oh,
While we're waiting, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you again for the information, but also helping us. We got our task done 10 minutes to spare, so it was a good team effort, and thank you for that.
Thank you.
And thank you for everybody here for your patience, but it was a lot of work in a couple of minutes, and everyone just worked together, so thank you for that.
I'm just not sure I understand the assessment, Joan.
Oh, the charts?
Yeah, if I look at the last column, the last number on each column, on each of those. For example, on, which one am I, Squanicook, it would be $8.25 per 100,000, right?
For Townsend, yes.
Okay. And the same 1473, is it? I kind of made a mess of that.
Yes,
And 88 cents for the Varnum Brook.
yes.
So that's a total of 23.8 for all three projects.
And that's an average over the 25 years.
And this is based on current borrowing rates?
Yes.
Okay.
And while you're asking that, Sue, I do, these prices are the project costs right now. They have to go out to bid, like we did for the high school projects, which came in lower when we went out to bid. And also, it has construction contingencies and the contract for the project manager and the architect, and that all needs to be negotiated.
Okay.
So these are not set numbers.
Madam Superintendent, so a lot of these facts will be on your website right now.
Yes,
And then the other thing is, at town meeting, there's going to be a full presentation. So, not to keep moving on here, but after I ask Cindy, is that the facts will be presented at town meeting by all the
Absolutely.
experts, and it's on the website. So
Perfect.
All right. So Cindy, do you have anything?
yeah, my questions are about the maintenance facility and the turf field.
yeah.
If these are not approved by the three towns, will this reduce our assessments?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Another question on
Sure.
that one? If they are approved, will there still be more money coming, will there still be money coming back
Yes.
from that project? Because I don't think everybody understands.
Great question.
What's your gross savings, and then how much you're proposing to spend on those two, and then what would be coming back to the towns in terms of a reduced assessment?
So it's being assessed at there would still be a $3.1 million savings. There's a great slide on the website it says turf field presentation. There's a great slide that shows what we spent, what's left, with or without these projects. It does a whole breakdown cost analysis. But it's about 3.1 million.
So we'll get that back even if we get these projects, we're going to get,
That's right.
okay. So
Approximately, yes.
Okay,
All right,
We're hoping for more.
feel better?
okay, me too.
Feel better?
Much better, much better.
So the good thing is that it's, we got through our warrants, thanks for everything, and we also got some information out to the public here so they can start pondering this, and then will there be a full presentation at town meeting, is that correct? Thank you. And,
One more
you.
quick question.
Absolutely.
If any one of the three towns does not approve of this, is it a dead deal?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
For all five?
All 5
articles?
projects.
Any one of the project, they all need unanimous from all three towns, just like the high school
Because of the
project.
MSBA
Yes.
part of it.
Thank you for your quality work.
Thank you.
Sure.
One more thing.
Sure.
If, I mean, I know a lot of this just got fixed, and we just got the numbers all straight. My concern is that the town accountant and treasurer take a look at all of it and incorporate it into our estimates. I'm not sure how that happens with the Collins Institute information. Do you know what I mean? Because some...
I will, as soon as Mr. Crowley comes back and with the account of the tracks, we'll have that conversation, and we'll make sure that Mr. Crowley gets in contact and let you know where we're at. Does that work for you, Cindy? All right.
And the FinCom is probably going to want that
He'll-
information.
Yeah, I think it's, everything that the Collins Center did for us is all formula-based.
That's
So-
what I'm getting at.
so
So
I
you
think
should be
that
able to plug this
She could plug in the numbers and come back with adjustments to our projections.
Okay.
So it's a good worksheet. Yep.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you again, folks, I appreciate
Thank
it.
you for having us.
Okay.
I'm glad we had that, because now I understand it a little much better.
Yeah, she did. That was very nice.
I feel much safer about those things. All right.
Okay. At this point, we're going to move to 2.1, to appoint Rick Bailey as interim police chief upon completion of successful contract negotiations. Could I ask Chief Bailey to come up at this time, if he wouldn't mind? And Kelly, would it be all right if he sat right there? Just
Yeah,
so-
I'm aware.
All right. Thank you, sorry.
No, it's fine.
Welcome, Chief, and thank you for your patience while waiting. Just so folks out there know, on Friday, the Board of Selectmen took a unanimous vote to have Mr. Crowley and myself take the task of performing an emergency search for an interim police chief. And we've bring before you today to the board here, Chief Bailey. We have an extensive resume and experiences here, and we will have our staff put this up online so you can see that. At this time, Chief Bailey, was there anything you'd like to say to the community at all about yourself?
I just would like you to know that I'm a Townsend resident, and I've been in law enforcement for 40 years. My entire adult life has been dedicated to this field. I've held chief of police positions. The majority of my career was in Nashua, New Hampshire. Spent 26 years there, retired as a commander, captain. The reason that I'm here today before you is I care about the town. I care about the police department. And I feel that I have the qualities, the experience, and the skill set to help the police department. It obviously is in a turmoil at this point, and I would like to help it, and I feel that I can. I made that clear to town fathers, and they came back and asked me to be here tonight.
Thank you, Chief. Sue, do you have anything?
I'm sorry, Chief Bailey, I did not have a chance prior to the meeting to really ask some questions. I guess, I mean, your resume looks lengthy and certainly robust. Do you also have, I noticed most of your experience is in New Hampshire. Are you certified in Massachusetts as well?
I have been certified in Massachusetts. It would be a request to the Municipal Police Training Council for an exception and waiver to be recertified.
Which is
It's a-
common
it's a
practice
common
nowadays.
practice.
And how long does that process usually
It
take?
happens fairly quickly.
So would we be,
I was certified in Massachusetts. I was a police chief in Grafton,
so this would
Mass.
be like a renewal of that
It
certification?
is. They generally, if you remain certified, and I have remained certified through my entire time, either in New Hampshire or Massachusetts, so that they generally grant exceptions. It's very common. Chiefs come from different states into different states.
I guess my only question is, would we need to wait? I think we would need to wait for that certification.
No, I don't think we do. I think we'd be all set. Town council's been advised and advises in the past, Air, Groton, brought them from other places, and at this time, he's the administrator. So I would believe, Ms. Lizzie, we're all set.
There's usually a contingency.
Absolutely.
That the certification.
And that was my point.
Right.
Right.
So an appointment contingent upon the
Well-
certification being renewed or whatever the term
Within a
is.
certain amount of time, but we'll do that in negotiations. I would recommend that. Do you have any questions, Cindy, at all?
No, I would like to add to the community so that you understand that the chief here is not a stranger to us. He was an applicant when Chief Eaton was appointed, so he had been part of the badge quest, and he's actually been in contact with us periodically over the time, just still letting us know that he's here in Townsend, and but he even contacted after he was not selected to let us just chat with us. but at least he talked to me once. I don't know if he talked to the other selectmen. But we have been aware of him. We've had his resume on file since the last hiring of the police chief. So he's just not coming out of the woodwork. We're aware of him, and that was part of why we reached out to him to see if he was still interested in being our interim chief, so.
And one last thing is, again, we'll put all his credentials up online the next day or so, is you may saw in the paper here, Drakeit, who's going through a difficult time too, did a nationwide search and had a complete assessment center, and I believe out of 50 or 75 finals from across the country, the chief here finished number 3rd. So he's already been for, within the last 2 weeks, an assessment nationally ranked, and he finished 3rd out of a much bigger pool than we would have here. So I think we're extremely fortunate that you want to get back to the town you live in. So I wouldn't entertain a motion if anyone has one, so we could.
I would entertain, I would make a motion that we appoint Rick Bailey as an interim police chief upon completion of successful contract negotiation. I would also suggest, though, that that be also contingent upon the certification.
Well, what do you have to say about this?
I'm just, before adding that part of the motion, can you explain that, whether that's a requirement to be?
I don't believe it is. So,
I believe it is, actually. May I?
Here you are.
Well, I pulled this off the website for the
What website is
municipal
Mass
police.
Criminal Justice Training Center?
Yes.
Okay.
Municipal Police Training Committee. It's a letter that went out to appointing authorities and police department administrators.
And what date is that, Mrs. Lucio?
On March 20th of 2013, but I believe it's still in place.
Right.
I offer the following reminders regarding the necessary steps you must take before allowing or empowering an officer to exercise police powers within the Commonwealth of Mass. These criteria derive from Mass General Law, Chapter 6, Section 116, General Law, Chapter 6, Section 118, and General Law, Chapter 41, Section 96B, and also from the Code of Massachusetts Regulations 550 CMR, the Massachusetts Police Officer Training Requirements.
Just a
It
point
says-
Ms. Lizio, just 1 second, please.
It says if you are hiring...
Can I just have a second here,
Yes.
please? You're talking about an officer, we're talking about a chief. There is a difference here. He's going to be hired as an administrator. I think in negotiations in executive session, we could discuss this.
I respectfully...
The town of
I think if you were to
Drakeit, the
read
town...
this, you would find
well,
that
well,
might not be the case.
I will refer it to town council. Again,
Do we have an opinion from town council?
I will get one, and we
already?
can talk about that
Okay.
in executive session. The town of Drakeit, which the chief here finished 3rd, hired someone from Hooksett, New Hampshire. So I don't think it's a factor for the chief. I think that's for patrol officers. He's going to be hired as an administrator. We have an emergency situation, and we need someone over there.
Chief, what's your understanding of that?
Folks, please. Ms. Jackson, could you please have sound so I could hear your mother and we could hear Mrs. King talk, please? Thank you. Thank you. Please be quiet. Thank you.
What's your understanding, Chief?
My understanding is that you can hire an administrator without the certification. The administrator doesn't have any police powers at that point in time. What the certification does is give the police powers. That's not uncommon when chiefs come from one state to another state.
I believe he's correct. And then within a short period of time, you will have your police powers. That's correct. But at this time, we have an emergency, we need an administrator there.
Estimate, maybe? Gordy? Is there an estimate?
I'll ask the expert. He goes around the country doing this.
I can tell you the last time that I did it was within a matter of weeks.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you for your answer, and thank you, Ms. Lizzie, for that question. So we're hiring you as an administrator chief, and then within 3 weeks, you will have all the full powers of a police officer, based upon your extensive.
With the certification.
Right, exactly. All right, so at
So
this...
powers of a police officer
To
include what?
to arrest, to enforce laws.
Powers of rest of the Commonwealth, Mass General laws. So he's not going to be out giving tickets for the first 2 weeks.
Well,
He's gonna
that's
be-
good.
Yes. Well, no, but the point is, he certainly would be able to manage crime scenes, manage budgets, manage policy and procedures. He's done this across the country.
And schedule people and things
Absolutely,
like
all the
that.
above. He could be our administrator. Within 2 or 3 weeks, he'll have all the powers, if he was backing up an officer, to perform arrest. But at this point, we're high in an emergency situation, have an administrator.
And I think also, in the negotiation space, when we go into executive session, it also gives us the opportunity to talk about training, not only training that we would expect him to have, or that he wants to have,
Right.
that is going to maybe funding or what have you, as well as the certifications that we would expect him to have. So that can be part of,
And also, I think,
contract.
Well, it
we're
could be, yeah.
yeah,
we're not going to do it.
we're not there yet, so.
Right. But the thing here is, there's a whole nother section here. You just came from out of state, didn't you, today? You were training where? Teaching?
In Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Right. So the chief actually is not just going to be certified, he goes around the whole country teaching
He's a
law
trainer.
enforcement agencies how to do this, much larger. So his skill is way above what the baseline knowledge would be for this job. So I'm thankful that you've made yourself available to the town you live in. Very appreciative of that. I would entertain a motion at this time.
Well, I put a motion on the floor, but it wasn't seconded, so if you're telling me that that is the case and there's no limitation, there's no reason that he can't be the police chief because of that lack of certification, and you're certain about that, then I move to appoint Rick Bailey as our interim police chief upon completion of successful contract negotiations.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion's unanimous. Please, 1 second, please. Motion's unanimous. We're going to be going into executive session in a moment here, but we'll take one brief question, sir. Could you say who you are?
Wayne Freitag, Joyce Street.
Thank you, sir.
This consultation business, does that continue, or is that, once he becomes chief, done?
We will have that in executive session to discuss all parameters of his employment.
Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Tripp, one more question.
It's not a question.
What is it then, please?
I'd just like to speak in support of your motion and to the community as being part of the interview process of when we hired the chief. There were, badge quests brought it down to 17.
No, we're not going to get into anything that's not on the agenda. It's just about Mr. Bailey here at this point, please. Do you have a question about Mr. Bailey?
My point was...
What's your question about Mr.
that
Bailey? Sure,
It's
please.
not a question. My point was that he was not in our final group, and many of us wondered why he wasn't.
Okay, thank you. I'm
And
just...
I wanted to make that point.
Can I just say something? I'm not trying to cut you off. I just want to make sure we... If folks, please, I'm trying to talk to Ms. Schiffern here. In the past, when we've given latitude, it's become disruptive. Thank you for your positive comments. And I wasn't part of any of that process, so thank you for that input. Thank you.
I think...
All right, thank you. At this point, I move that we go into executive session pursuant to General Laws 30A, Section 21A, to discuss strategy or conduct negotiations with non-union personnel with respects to the interim police chief, Rick Bailey. Can I have a motion, please?
I move that we enter into executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, to discuss strategy or to conduct negotiations with non-union personnel with respect to interim police chief Rick Bailey.
Second.
And could I just add to that, please? And we'll be coming out of
And
executive.
we will be coming back to open session.
Thank you for that, ma'am.
Second.
Second. This requires a roll call vote.
Sulicio, aye.
Cindy King, aye.
Gordon Clark, aye. It's unanimous. We're going to executive session. We'll be coming back out. Thank you, folks. Welcome back, folks, to the Selectmen's meeting. We're back in session at 8:55. At this time, I would entertain a motion from one of the board members, if they would like that.
Okay. I would like to, well, I make a motion to appoint Rick Bailey, or it's Richard Bailey, as interim police chief, and to approve and sign a contract for the period of 4/25/17 to 10/24/2018.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion, Ms. Lizio?
Actually, I would like to say something, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
I'm going to be a dissenting vote on this, and it has absolutely no reflection on Mr. Bailey, on Chief Bailey. It's really just more that philosophically, I don't agree with that long of a term. That's an 18-month term for an interim. I'd kind of rather just kind of bite the bullet and post and get somebody in here permanently. Though I understand, you know, why you negotiated that. So I mean, you have my full confidence and my full support, and if I'm outvoted, which I would expect to be, I hope that everybody's going to be behind you and help you to be successful and help our force to be successful as well.
Thank you.
Cindy, you have any comments?
I'll make comments after the vote. Is that
Okay,
good?
absolutely. So motion's been made and moved. At this time, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No.
Let the record show that King and Clark were affirmative and that Selectman Lizio was opposed, for the record. Thank you. I'm just going to sign at this time here, all right, and then I'll let you. And Chief, could you sign, please?
I need to say,
Oh, I'm sorry, wait.
Do you want to just...
even though I'm a dissenting vote,
Okay.
I go with the majority.
We're not skipping you.
I go with the majority. If
We're not skipping you.
I'm gonna take my responsibility here.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Ms. Lizio. And what's today's date? Is the,
4:25.
thank you. We've had so many figures, I'm just trying to make sure I put the right, Chief,
I know, it's going to put the right date in there.
just the right dates. Thank you, Chief. At this time, Selectman King, would you like to say
Yeah,
something?
I just want to say that I was very pleased with the way our negotiations went between the three of us and the chief. We all had some conversation, but it was very positive experience. I just want to say that to support my other two members of the board and our new interim chief. I also want to say that I'm very pleased to bring Chief Bailey on after reviewing his credentials and talking to him about his commitment to not only the department, but the police department, our town, and his commitment to his career of law enforcement. He's taken very seriously, and he was a strong negotiator as well. But I think we've got a good chief coming in, and I'm hoping that it's a very positive experience, and going to be a very positive experience for all of us, for the community, for the department, and for the government to heal and get our town back where it needs to be. So, welcome,
Thank you.
Chief.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy and Sue. Just 3 quick points. One, I would like to thank the fellow board members and Mr. Bailey for conducting a professional, based on facts, negotiation. So to all you 3, thank you for that. Number two, just so people know, the reason I voted for this here is that I truly want to, I'm not going to be taking any questions, sir. I wanted to provide some stabilization, but not lock in future boards to what they wanted to do in the future, but that we had to get the chief amount of time to do the things that are necessary to stabilize, and then future boards can decide where we go. So I think this is a fair compromise for the department, fair compromise for the town and future boards, and also fair to the chief, so that you can't give him a mission that he can't succeed at, and I think we're blessed to have his talents, so thank you for that. And with the permission of my members, at this time, I would like to have the town clerk come up and give him the oath, if that's all right. Would you, I don't mean to keep interrupting you, would it be all right if we invited your wife to come up here, because, no? All right.
Aw.
Well, it's going to affect your lives, you know what I'm saying? Yes, it will, so that's the truth. So thank you for allowing your husband to become part of our community, sincerely. And you people are Townsend people, so that's a nice thing. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you, Richard Bailey, solemnly affirm, under the pains and penalties of perjury, that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent on you as interim police chief for the town of Townsend, according to the best of your abilities and understanding, agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and the laws of this Commonwealth?
Thank you.
Congratulations, Chief.
You can sign.
Congratulations, Chief. Thank you, too. Madam Clerk, thank you for staying late and coming.
Oh, you're welcome.
Ms. Lizio, if you have a couple motions for us, please.
Yes, I move that we review and sign bills payable warrant out of session.
Second?
Motion's been made and moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let the record show it's unanimous. Do we have a motion to recess?
Move to adjourn at 9:02.
Second?
Motion's been made and moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We're now in recess. Kelly, you secure this, please?
Are we adjourning for the night?
Yes, we are. We're all done.